As I said before, my favorite podcasts are the Q&A ones where I get really good questions from people in the soft tissue revolution or people just reaching out from wherever that are struggling with something or want some insights or some advice. I'm truly honored when people ask me for advice or have a question for me. And today was a really good one. I had been meaning to make a podcast on this for a while about what to do when the client tells you need to go deeper and apply more pressure. I hear a lot of these questions, and I finally got a really good one from a massage therapist in South Carolina. So on this episode, I answered her question and really gave some good insights and perspectives into how to properly handle this, how to be taken more seriously as a healthcare provider, some flaws that I see in the massage therapy model across the board, and really how to command respect from your clients and be taken seriously. So I hope you enjoy this podcast, and I'm really thankful for anybody that's reached out and asked me for questions. I got a whole queue of them coming up, but I'm always open as well. So feel free to drop me a comment, a like, a share, or send me a message for any questions you want to cover, because I really do enjoy this and find a lot of happiness and pleasure in helping other people through some struggle. So I hope you guys enjoy the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Soft Tissue Revolution podcast. Dr. Matt Maggio here. Thanks for stopping by and listening. Up today, we have a Q&A. How to handle a client telling you that you need to go deeper and apply more pressure. So one of my favorite things to do is connect with other soft tissue practitioners from all over the world. It's even better when they reach out and ask for my advice on an issue that is bothering them. So I got a great question from, I think I'm saying her name right, Ojaria. She's from South Carolina. She's a massage therapist. So here's the question. She said, okay, so I've been a massage therapist in South Carolina for almost 2 years. And it's as though people want me to torture them with pressure, which was not how I was taught or internally lead to do a massage. I have more of a gradual approach. I'm aware of origin and insertion, and I just don't believe in brutally using pressure across the origin insertion points until it's time. And even when I do, it's deep, but it's nice and slow so that the client can properly adjust to the depth. I've been on a couple of interviews, and it's like they're basically saying that I'm not deep enough. I just feel as though I don't rush into my technique. My leverage is excellent, I feel, and I'm a pretty big girl, so applying pressure is never an issue. How should I respond to clients/employers without coming across as defensive? Is my approach ineffective? This is a really great question. I was actually gearing up to make a podcast about this, about how to handle when the client tells you need to go deeper. And I got this question from Ojaria, so I was like, this will be great to answer. So let's just kind of start this off by dispelling some of the myths. I can't even talk. The myths of deep tissue massage. I've even made a video about this. I'll link this up in the show notes as well, back to a YouTube video I made talking about this so you can better educate your clients. But let's just start by dispelling the myth of tissue and going deep. So I always use this analogy. It's like, think of the tissue as like a rubber band. So if I have a rubber band and say I put it on the floor, I jump on it, I grind my elbow on it, I drive a car over it, I stand on it, I sit on it, it's not going to break that rubber band. What actually breaks down that bad tissue, specifically scar tissue. Scar tissue is like glue that gets inside the muscle, makes it weaker, less flexible. This is exactly what we train and teach in my method, the PEAK method. We're not treating trigger points, we're treating scar tissue that builds up over time from bad postures, trauma, poor diet, lack of movement, all that crap you can think of. But in order to break a rubber band down, it actually needs tension. It doesn't need a lot of tension. And when you pull it, that's what snaps. So this whole myth and this idea, like if it doesn't hurt, it's not doing anything, is complete nonsense and complete bullshit. Great. Now I got to hit explicit again, but that's okay. Trying not to swear as much, but I already did. So now I can keep going. So this idea of proper depth and proper tension, and Ojaria is on to the right idea where she's at. The problem is the people that she's giving the massage to or the people that are interviewing for that, they're not properly educated. So go watch that video because I don't want to exhaust the whole idea. This will give you a better idea and a better context of why deep tissue is actually ineffective and doesn't work. think about that analogy all the time, a rubber band. Like, you can do whatever you want to it, but what actually breaks it down is tension. And for people that want to get nerdy and stuff like that, what it really needs, and they've shown it in studies, and I can show you all the studies you want if you're one of those research buffs, that it only needs 6.28 pounds of force in the right vector, in the right direction. And I go over all that in the video, so we're not going to exhaust that here. So I look at this as there's three different perspectives. One's going to be the profession itself, the perspective from the client, and the perspective from the therapist. So I'm going to go into each one of these. First off, the massage profession as itself. So there's a lot of problems that I see with traditional massage, and I've been very vocal about this over the years in my podcast, in my training. One of the problems is that the profession itself is service-based, not solution-based. That's been my number one shtick, is like, are you actually fixing people, or are you just providing a service? And so many people in the massage field, they get kind of typecasted into that idea of being a service-based provider instead of a solution-based. Another thing is like essential versus non-essential. COVID brought that out to the surface on so many levels. I made a podcast about this, why I think massage therapy is truly essential. But the problem is the education system, your boards, your lobbyists, all that kind of stuff, they've kind of pigeonholed you into a corner of becoming more non-essential, where you're more of like a luxury or a service or something that isn't actually fixing something. Another thing is, and a problem, excuse me, with the profession itself is it's very symptom focused and not functional focused, functional based. You know, we're trying to really figure out the symptoms instead of actually figuring out why those symptoms are having and going on and getting to the root cause of that. We train that all the time in my method. Have a free training on that as well if you want to grab that in the link below. And lastly is just the stigmas and the stereotypes of massage, you know, particularly, especially for female massage therapists. I can't imagine what it's like sometimes being a female massage therapist. I even made a video about this, like how to make sure you don't get asked for like hand jobs and happy endings like that. But that's what happens, is you lose some of that respect and some of that just because of a lot of bad eggs and what they've done in the profession over the years. Just getting a sip of water here. Now the next perspective from the client. First off, the client isn't properly educated. When I get this, I used to get so pissed off, but this happens all the time for some reason in musculoskeletal care, is like these people come in and all of a sudden they think they're an expert in whatever they do. Like they might be an accountant or a lawyer or like they're a nurse or something like that. And all of a sudden they think they're an expert on complex musculoskeletal injuries, and they have no problem telling you how that is. That's a bias that's built in there, and it causes a lot of problems. The other problem is there's just too many voices out there. You know, everybody, I actually stopped going on Instagram because I found myself getting really pissed off, specifically in the fix yourself movement. There's so many people out there be like, hey, use this foam roller or use this lacrosse ball and do this. There's one group and they have like over 1 million followers. They're called Move You, and their tagline is actually fix your shit. Like, what does that even mean? Fix your shit. They teach you how to do all these mobility things and things with a lacrosse ball and out there. And then what happens is these morons are getting a big voice out there, and people are getting educated by them the wrong way. What else do I have? From the client's perspective, once again, they think you're just providing a service. They look at you as a service provider, so they feel like they can say and do whatever they want because they feel like you need them, they don't need you. And that's a big thing that a lot of therapists struggle with, especially in the client interaction, is we're in such a scarcity mindset of like, oh, I need this person, I'm going to kiss their ass, I'm going to do whatever. It's like, no, that's not the case. You actually need to get in there and understand that you're providing a solution. When you're providing a solution, you're not going to get a lot of the feedback that you're getting where people question your technique, your treatment, and everything like that. Now, the last perspective from the therapist. I don't know if I want to talk about. Yeah, I do want to talk about this. So there's this idea called frame control and status. I forgot one in the client picture as well. This idea of status, like people always want to appear to be more smarter than they are, and they want to feel like they are at a higher status. And this comes back into you as a therapist, this idea of called frame. So what the hell is a frame? A frame is basically a underlying power that's happening in any social interaction. And particularly there has to be someone that's in charge and someone else. There's like an alpha and a beta. And at the end of the day, you lose your frame. It's this power frame idea, or I also call it the doctor frame. Like where people start to question you because they don't look at you as a true expert at what you do. So then they start to do all sorts of things and question what you do across the board, and you run into a big problem. Another thing is you didn't take time to properly educate yourself or the client. What do you mean by that? It's like, do some research, do some investigation into like what works and doesn't work so that you have confidence in that. Because when you can explain it eloquently, I can't even say that word right. When you can explain it clearly to the client what's going on, you own that, you get that true conviction. The client is going to look at you like, hey, this person knows what's going on, and they're not going to pull that bullshit of being like, I need you to go a little bit harder. I need you to work here. Once again, they're not viewing you as sharp as a tack or a true expert because you lost that frame. You're in control. They're coming to you because they have a problem and you're going to fix it. If they're coming to you just for a service, then you're going to run into these problems all the time. But there's a big market out there of people that actually want to get fixed. They want to get solutions for their problems. And I believe that soft tissue practitioners, particularly massage therapists, are the best equipped to that. But they got to get out of their own way and really start to communicate effectively. This last part might be hard to hear, but your treatments aren't good enough. They can always be better. You can always practice. This blows my mind all the time how people don't truly practice their craft. They might go take like a weekend seminar in something, try it out a little bit, but they don't practice it. It has to be daily discipline each and every day, making sure that you're the best at what you are. Think of this as like learning an instrument. If you didn't practice every day, of course you're not going to be good to where you are. So those are the different perspectives from the profession, the client, and the therapist. So how do you handle this when it actually happens? So I've had this happen a lot over the years. I've made bad decisions, I've made good decisions, and what I've really figured out is how this works. So when it does happen in the moment, regardless, you need to stop whatever you're doing. Even if you're in the middle of a treatment and they say, hey, I need you to go harder, that's not enough pressure. Stop in the middle. Explain it. And what we actually teach our massage therapists that are running through our system and the soft tissue practitioners is to actually have like a whiteboard in the room where you can actually properly educate about what's going on and showing them that what they're saying is actually wrong. So make sure you address it. Don't leave it out there. Don't take it personal. Don't take it offensive. Don't jump on the person and be like, you're a freaking moron. You don't know what you're talking about. Because that's what I'm thinking in my mind, and you are too. But then you have to kind of do more of an internal reflection about like, what did I do wrong in the process leading up to this? Because it isn't just happening in the moment, it's that process up to there. So how do you make sure that it won't happen ever again? Because when it happens, it sucks. You feel inferior, you feel like crap, and you have a different view towards that client as well when all you really want to do is help them, but they can't get out of their own way. So what we teach in my method, the peak method, there's 4 steps. Number 1 is you have to start with being taken seriously as a healthcare provider. So how does that happen? You make the switch from being a service provider to being a solution provider and functional based. This is what we teach all day long. And this is why massage therapists are running into a lot of problems because they're not being taken seriously as a healthcare provider. And then you got like jackasses like chiropractors. And this is coming from someone who has a chiropractic degree that doesn't believe in chiropractic adjustments at all. They're taking the chiropractors more serious and they're not even doing anything to address the soft tissue or fixing the problem. Number 2, a thing that I teach is mandatory consultations before that client even comes in. No more of this like, fill out the form really quick, 5-minute, look at it, go over, and then go into treatment. Take the time to actually hop on the phone with your client. We do these through Zoom, and it's been great. And COVID's made it even better. Sit down and talk with that client about what's going on. And we have a free training where I'll teach you how to do that, how to ask the 7 right questions in figuring out what the problem is, so you know before they even come in. And what that does is that just puts you at a higher echelon of being a true expert in your field because nobody else is doing that. And when you do it, that client's like, oh shit, this person knows what they're talking about. And they're not going to hit you with all these other things where they're crushing your doctor or your power frame. Number 3 that we have the peak method practitioners do is we have them niche down. I talk about this all the time. Specialize in one area. Be the neck and shoulder person in your area. Be the low back and hip. Be the knee person. Be that true expert, because if you're a jack of all trades and master of none, you're going to be all over the place. But think about how damn good you can get if you really focus and dial in to being a true expert in that. And I recommend either going neck and shoulder or low back and hip. That's what we have people do as well when they come into our training. Last one. Not only do you need to learn to be better and figure out more effective treatments, you need to learn how to communicate it effectively. I'll tell you what, you can be the best in the world, but if you don't know how to explain it and how you can help, you're dead in the water. Communication and education for the client is just as important, if not more important, than the treatment process. So that's the nutshell of what's going on. And it's not like a one simple answer, be like, oh yeah, here you go, I'm not going to go deep. It's like understanding that. And it starts by educating yourself first, then educating the client, then commanding what you do, commanding your skills and knowing that. And then you're not going to get this shit anymore where people are like, just go deeper. I need you to do that. They know you're a true solution-based provider. They look at you with that power frame where you are the alpha and they are the beta. So thank you so much, Ojaria, for this question. And I know a lot of massage therapists are struggling with it, but there's a couple things that you can do. So first off is audit where you are and audit where you want to be. What do you really want to be? Do you want to just be this service provider that's just going through the motions, doing the same thing over and over again? Or do you want to truly change people's lives and fix their problems for good so they can avoid bigger problems down the road like pain pills, injections, and surgeries, which only make things worse? You can be taken serious as a healthcare provider, but you have to do the work. You have to be willing to do it. Go grab our free training. It's free. There's no strings attached. I'm not trying to sell you anything. The way my marketing and my sales works with anybody that wants to work with me directly in my methods, they reach out to me after they've done that free training. That free training is going to help you think critically, figure problems out, become a true expert, and hold your frame so that people will take you seriously. And lastly, if you do want to work with us, and only if you're serious about fixing people and taking control of the treatment process, the world needs this more than ever. Traditional massage is going to die. It's dying even more and more, but there's so many people out there that want to get a solution for their pain and their injury. They just don't know that you exist, and they don't even equate massage as something that's going to fix that. And that's what I'm trying to change with my messaging, with my methods, and everything across the board. So that's all I got for today's. I appreciate you guys listening to the podcast. Any feedback you want to give, that would be great as well. And once again, at the very end of the show notes is a link to why deep tissue massage doesn't work in a video, so you can properly start educating yourself, getting more out of yourself, demanding more for yourself, and really setting yourself up as a true health care provider. Appreciate you guys listening, and I will see you on the next one. Bye. Thanks so much for listening to the show. If you're a massage therapist and you want to learn more about our new methods that allow you to easily double your income without working any harder or getting burnout, we have some free resources for you. 1, join our Facebook group, The Soft Tissue Revolution. 2, subscribe to our YouTube channel. 3, request our free training series. 4, leave us a 5-star review and share this podcast with anyone else you know it can help. Links to all our channels and free training are in the show notes.